Hello, I'm Andrea from Chasing Whimsy Portrait Art. Thank you for your investment in this video series where I'm going to be showing you illustrative portraiture techniques for your editing where you can create whimsical, hand-painted storybook sort of feel to your images. I have a studio in my garage where I have a full set with lighting and costumes, and clients come dress up as the characters that they're going to be. I then do the shoot and take those photos into Photoshop where I create fantasy scenes and impossible scenarios for my clients to enjoy that are all done with the magic of digital art. So this series is designed to basically show you the main ground floor essential techniques that you'll need to master in order to create this look within your editing. They're not overly difficult techniques, however, they will require some training of your eye and definitely a lot of practice in order to be able to see the light and how to shape it and work with the shadows and highlights that are in your image, which is what are the key elements in creating this sort of a look. One of the most important things that I can mention and recommend is that if you do not use a tablet with a pen for this type of editing, you will find it very difficult, if not impossible, to work with the fine details at the level that you'll need to with this. It doesn't have to be anything large or overly expensive. I have a very small Wacom bamboo tablet with a pen. It's only about 4 by 6 on the screen size, which I find is fine for what I'm working with. You're zooming in to your images and working with the fine details, and if you know how to color, you can work with a tablet. So it's definitely something I recommend, and if not, you have to have it. It just will not work with a mouse. You don't have the control to be able to do the kind of detail work that you'll need to do without that. So the basic technique that creates this look is called dodging and burning. I use Photoshop exclusively for my editing. I will shoot in RAW and do some maybe fine adjustments if I need to with the lighting, but then I bring it into Photoshop, and that's where the first step that I do is all of the dodge and burn on my image once I have it set up the way that I want. If I'm doing a composite image where I'm bringing in other elements, I place them all into the image first and then do all my dodge and burn before I add any of the, the haze or the different sorts of effects that I'm going to put over top. This is as I said, the basic ground floor essential look, or part of the look, is the dodge and burn. Now in doing this, you will very rarely use, or at least I very rarely use, the actual dodge and burn tools that you find in Photoshop. They can do funny things with colors, and I think you may have noticed if you're using the burn tool, for example, you actually can get a burnt sort of an edge to your, it looks brown, it looks burnt. And when you use the techniques the way that I do them, some other methods, that's not an issue because it's actually just working with the levels and brightness that are already in your image. The other question that I'm often asked, or I hear people ask, is, well, isn't there just like an action or a plug-in? I can push a button and make it look like this? There really isn't. The reason these look hand-painted is because you need to spend the time to hand-paint them. Hours sometimes. If I'm painting hair, it's strand by strand to get the shadow and the highlight on that hair. There are some tools that you can use, and that I even use at times, that can enhance the work that's been done, but I don't use them until after I have done that hand painting already. The story I like to tell is that I used to do faux finishing on walls, where you paint walls like with a sponge or a rag, and you get these beautiful hand painted looks, like leather or marble, or they just have a really cool hand-painted artistic quality to them. And then some of the paint companies started coming out with rollers that had these rubber flappy things attached to them, and you would basically run the roller through your paint and then roll it all over your wall, and these little things would flap, flap, flap all over your wall, and you would get this texture that was supposed to look like you had done it with a rag or something. So I tried these rollers, and sure, they were faster, and anyone could do this, but I just found that the look that they gave was very mechanical. It didn't have the same hand-painted artistic finesse of having done it by hand. And that's what a lot of the push-a-button tools are going to do for your images. They can only work with what is already there in the image. And it just doesn't have the same look as if you spend the time to do all that dodge burn detail work first. And then when you run those tools after, if you choose to do so, they have so much more to grab onto and create just a spectacular image because it has so much more to actually enhance than when you just run it without having done that first. So in order to make this easier, if you want to refer back to certain points that I'm going to be going over, I'm going to break this series into different videos where I'll do one for the skin, one for the hair, one for body, and maybe some of the environmental things that you can touch on. I won't go into a lot of detail on that in this video, but to show you just some of the things you can do in some of your background elements, etc., to help to make that illustrative look to them. Again, all with the dodge and burn, which is the basis. This is the first step to creating these images. It's the first thing that you need to do. And so this is what you need to learn to master, as I said, in order to get this look for your pictures. You'll also find as you're practicing working with your own images that you may need to apply it a little bit differently. Maybe you have to do it heavier or lighter touch based on what your own lighting and setup is in your studio or whether you work outside. That'll just be something you need to, I can't tell you that. You'll have to just try it on your own images and see what's going to work and how you need to apply these techniques. The techniques are the same, as how you apply them. That might look a little bit different. So I trust that you will enjoy working through these and that this will get you well on your way to creating your own style of illustrative portraiture in your images.